Alright, hopefully this is better. Oh my gosh, okay, here we go. Hello guys, this is Flatline, and today I'm going to be doing my third episode for the HotS, and we're going to be covering LGIMSquirtle's PvP from Team Incredible Miracles. This is the third take for this video. I actually made an hour-long video prior to this, and when I finished it, I wanted to check it out to make sure everything was going, and I found out that my mic was muted. And then on the second take, I actually catched myself going into this about 2 minutes in that the mic was actually muted, and right now it looks like it's pretty good. So we're going to be covering his PvP build. He actually displayed this throughout the entire Dreamhack event in his PvP matchup, and in the WCS, the OSL format where he faced off against Rain, I believe, or Partying. It was Partying. Yeah, he faced off against Partying. So we're gonna go over his build order in the first game. It's gonna be 9 pylon, 13 gateway, 15 double assimilators, and you want to put 2 in each gas. You want to scout with the probe that makes your gateway. Get a 17 pylon, and then a 17 cyber. I like to get 18 though, but we're gonna cover his build order, not mine. My little change in here and there. Because you go for a pretty quick cyber and you're cutting probes a little bit, you're gonna be able to afford a 19 gateway. Once you add on the second gateway, you put 2 guys into the gas, so you have 3 in each gas. Your first 3 chrono boosts will be used on probes. Beyond that, your fourth one will be used on a mothership core, and then the rest you'll be stacking up and you'll use that according to what you scout. So the cool thing about Squirtle's build is that your scouting is proxy. Your proxy areas pretty quickly here, pretty early. You're also able to get inside their base very quickly to see their gas. Did he go double gas before core? Did he go gas after core? Does he have 3 in each gas? Does he have 2 in each gas? How much is he mining? Did he have more than me? How many gateways does he have? Does he have 1 or 2? And then last but not least, or actually 2 more things, the pylons. How many pylons does he have? You already see 3. And his chrono boost. Is it really low? Is it really high? If it's really high, then you are gonna be a little bit worried about some kind of warp gate timing or some heavy Stargate like Oracle play. But since he has 3 pylons, you're not really worried about that. So the only thing you should be worried about is some very fast blink play or some kind of fast warp gate timing coming out from Naniwa. But Naniwa is actually going to be going for a 1 gate expand. Squirtle, his response, like I said, chrono boost out the mothership, and then you make a stalker. Then at 25 supply, you want to add on your 3rd pylon. Get 2 additional sentries behind this, and at 33 supply, you're going to be building your nexus. So the cool thing about this is you're able to get over here and see what's going on. Goes over here, he scouts. When you look at his vision, he sees 2 sentries and the robotics. Okay, so he actually threw down this Twilight Council. He's actually going to cancel it upon scouting that robotics, and he's actually going to be going double Stargate. This is pretty much his build. Going into it, this is what I've been copying as well. You can see his chrono boost is quite substantial at this point. I mean, it's at 90 energy right now. Compared to like Naniwa, he's using every single bit of chrono boost as soon as possible. He's actually getting his 3rd or 4th gas very quickly here as well. So to go over the build order, I'm just going to be copying his opener, which is basically this. From here on, you can just do whatever you want. He likes to go double Stargate in response to robotics tech, which is quite common, especially when the PvP meta right now is like 1 gate expands and all that stuff. Beyond that, he likes to go Twilight. So if they go for a Stargate play, you have that Twilight Council to get blink and all that kind of jazz. If it's a blink build, then you have blink yourself, and then as long as you play pretty defensive, you should be fine in that regard. So I do like his build quite a bit. Obviously DTs might be an issue, but you also have to remember he does scout with the mothership and the stalker. He has a stalker push up forward, was already denied by the stalker of Naniwa's. And then you also saw 2 additional sentries coming out of his gateways. That is 250 gas, not to mention his mothership core, which is another 100 gas. That is 350 gas early in the game that Naniwa used up. It's nearly impossible for him to be able to get a Dark Shrine at that point. So that's why he rolled that out. He's gonna be sending out his phoenixes. So this is the cool thing about this double phoenix. He commits quite a bit to it. He commits to 8 phoenixes. After he makes 8 phoenixes, he pretty much stops right there. You can see he's adding on the robotics. Around the time his 4th phoenix is done, once he has 4 phoenixes out, it's about the time he starts getting that robotics. He gets these double gas pretty early in the game as well. And you can see him pushing out Naniwa. This is probably the scariest moment for any Protoss that does this build, is a move out from the opponent. But this is a little bit different from Heart of the Swarm. You know, in Wings this would be super risky to a guy that's counterattacking because you don't have the sufficient defense to deal with this. But in retrospect, now in HOT, totally different. With the mothership core, you're going to be able to photon overcharge the Nexus, and with the Phoenixes, you can lock down every single unit by just lifting them up within the photon overcharge range, and then it can pick them off. So that's one of the cool things about this double Stargate style that Squirtle has. I mean, look at this ground army. Very, very obsolete. He's getting his immortals out. And he has his phoenixes here, just gonna be denying any more warpins, but he's actually warping it over here. Pretty smart by Naniwa. He knows those 2 pylons are pretty much denied at this point. Yeah, Naniwa can't really push into this because it's pretty much well fortified. Obviously he has more stalkers. He probably could push into this, but you also have to remember there's phoenixes here as well, and they're pretty fast. So if Naniwa does commit, Squirtle has 6 phoenixes, and that will neutralize 6 of these units. So that's why it's really hard for him to push into this. If you're able to take out 6 of these stalkers with the photon overcharge in this ground army, Squirtle should be okay at this point. He's adding on more immortals, and you can see his idea is not to go for Void Rays. This double Stargate, obviously that might be a common response to a lot of stalkers, but you have to realize it's a lot of resources and time that you're investing, that you're leaving yourself wide open for timing. Whereas if you're able to get your gateways up and immortals out, as long as you have a lot of immortals with a lot of gateway units supporting it, you should be fine. There's no way he's gonna budge right through here, and that's pretty much what Squirtle is doing at this point. I mean, he's about to have 4 immortals out. And what do you do? What do you do as Naniwa? You can't really push into this. Look at this. He's not trading efficiently whatsoever. Loses his sentry, and this is about the time he's gonna have to back up. There's 4 immortals. There's no way you would be able to trade efficiently whatsoever. And Squirtle does know this. He's gonna actually push over here, and he's gonna push him out. Now look at the supply rate, 98 to 87. Alright, so what is a common response that the 91 does? He has a lot of stalkers. He has blink, of course. It is basically to just expand. Now this expand feels a little bit iffy. It feels forced upon you because you're like, you know what, I can't do anything against them. I can't hit them. I can't punish them. I'm just gonna have to expand and play defensive. And once you do this, Squirtle is gonna expand. There's some downsides to this build, and there's 2 of them that I've seen that's pretty significant. One of them is your expansion timings. Completely late. You remember we saw his natural a little bit later than Naniwa's. The 3rd, look how quickly Naniwa got his. It's about 14 minutes in the game, and Squirtle is just now getting his 3rd, or should be. There we go. It's really late. The next thing that I do want to point out is the upgrades. We do see +2 on the way for Naniwa, so +1's finished, and just +1 just started for Squirtle. So those are the 2 downsides. The cool thing about this build is that Squirtle prioritizes unit composition over all that. And I think that is the best way to play PvP. I've seen so many games, I've played so many games where the Protoss with the economic advantage still loses because he doesn't have the best composition or the better composition out of the two. And that's what Squirtle is basically basing off his play is. You know what, you can have the better economy, but if I have the better tech, the better composition, I'm going to win. And rightfully so, he is going to. I mean, he's got his Colossus is on the way. If you look at Naniwas, he's just getting his robotics bait, adding on a second robo. So the Colossus count is going to be super delayed at this point. He's going to use 4 Stalkers. This is pretty smart by him. Anytime you have a lot of Blink Stalkers, and it's around that time, you know, where you're like, you know what, these Blink Stalkers are not going to do anything. We don't want Blink Stalkers at the end of the game anyways, because they're really bad in late game. You want to divide them up into 4, you know, a set of 4 Stalkers, so they can one-shot probes. You know, you want to trade them somehow, but you don't want to trade them at the point where like you just throw them straight at the guy's army. You want to make sure they suffer some way, and the most reliable best way is to pretty much snipe out their economy a little bit more, kill off some probes here or there if you can, and possibly draw off his army and try to see if you can snipe an expansion or whatnot. So we're going to times this up a little bit as he is getting more Colossus, adding on his Twilight count, so it's a little bit delayed since he's not going to be able to start +2 attack as soon as he wants to. But yeah, Squirtle's composition is going to be composed of 10 Colossus, and then from there he stops making Colossus. He either goes and adds on more Immortals or, you know, Archons and whatnot. It's pretty much what he does. Now if you remember back in the Wings, the go-to strategy or composition is actually 8 Colossus and then Immortals and then Archons. Squirtle likes to go up to 10. I'm not sure exactly which one is the best. I do think that the 10 Colossus style is better against the Zealot Archon Immortal composition, which is exactly what Nani was doing or was doing. But it's actually even better against this, where a guy is trying to catch up into Colossus. Look at this, he only has 3 Colossus. He does have a huge support for his Colossus though, but it's only 3, so it's not going to be too substantial. Squirtle just has too many Colossus at this point that mostly gonna one-shot almost every single unit over here except like the Immortals and the Archons. Squirtle is getting his 4th, and this is the cool thing as well about this build, is that you can establish your 4th a lot quicker, a lot sooner than your opponent. So you're sacrificing your expansion, and your 3rd is going to be a little bit later, but your 4th is going to be a little bit faster, and it's a lot safer for you to get it, whereas he's pretty much stuck. You have more Colossus than him, he barely doesn't have any, and this is pretty much how it always turns out whenever you go for this double Stargate style. It's really hard for the opponent to actually commit into Colossus play when you are going double Stargate, because they have to invest so much into their gas, you know, the Temple Archives, to get Blink Stalkers as well, to get Stalkers as well. All that is very, very gas intensive. It's a lot more intensive than having 8 Phoenixes coming out. That's 800 gas right there, and then 300 for the 2 Stargates, so that's 1100 gas you're investing. You have to remember that High Templars are 150 each, and Stalkers are 50 each. You make quite a bit, and not to mention you gotta get the Blink research and the Storm. This is a nice little engagement coming out over here from Naniwa. He's able to do as much damage as possible. He's able to reinforce faster. What you want to do with your Squirtle and you're doing this composition is what he just did. You want to kite as much as possible with your Colossus, because your advantage is mostly going to be you have the range. You have 9 range on these Colossus, so kite them as much as possible and reinforce. You can see he's doing also a Zealot run by, so Naniwa not in the best shape right now against this. It's 151 to 111 in favor of Squirtle. Squirtle's now getting his +3 and +1 on the way. But that economy over here at this 3rd is going to be kicking in pretty soon here. And there is no 4th coming out from Naniwa. So Naniwa, I mean, he's not in the best shape right now. Does clean up that a little zealot run by, but this game is pretty much over. I'm just gonna times 2. I know this is uncharacteristic of me. Usually I let it play faster, but for the third take, man, I am exhausted from doing this over and over again. That's pretty much it. I mean, Naniwa's not gonna be able to win this, by the way. So I'm just gonna let you watch the end of it, and that's gonna be pretty much it. I mean, I'm just gonna times 4 it, in fact. Nothing much to see here. Naniwa is pretty much just gonna have to wait until he maxes out, and he's gonna go for one final push, and we'll see if that's enough, which isn't. Another thing to note in PvP, time warp is in late game more important than photon overcharge. This little thing shooting 20 damage a shot is not going to change a huge difference compared to a time warp. A time warp traps those units pretty substantially and clumps them up, and you can do a lot of damage with it. I will say Naniwa's decision making in this game right here is pretty smart. He went straight for the robos. He doesn't want to have any more robo units coming out. He put himself, behind buildings, so it's really hard for Squirtle to actually engage into that with his zealot count, but Squirtle doing the right thing. In a scrappy game, void rays are the best, because the economy for both players should be really low in a scrappy game. What I mean by scrappy game, you gotta have low econ for both players. And that's because it takes a lot to deal with void rays, multiple void rays. That these 2 archons are not going to be able to kill off all these void rays, which means the void rays will kill off everything else once you kill off the anti-air from your opponent. But yeah, so you don't really want to go whenever you see a heavy stalker timing coming out from them. Do not overreact and start making void rays. In my opinion, that's the worst thing to do, because you're opening yourself up to a timing where you're waiting for, like, let's say that 3rd or 4th void ray to come out, but it's not coming out. So that means he's pushing, and then that's 6 supply, that's 500 minerals, and whatever gas that is. I think it's like 250 or 300 gas in total for 2 void rays, something like that. I think it's 250. Anyways, it's a lot of resources invested for an all-in. You don't really want to invest. Rather, just having the mortals and just having a ground army to support it. With your phoenixes and the photon overcharge, you should be fine. So once again, Squirtle is going to be showing this build. It's going to be on Whirlwind, so it's going to be a little bit different than we saw in the other games. He's adding on his second gateway here as well. And yeah, so he's gonna look for the Nexus. I think he saw that. Did he see it? He did not see the expansion. He did see the low chronos, and Naniwa did go for that fast expand. Naniwa knows the style of Squirtles. It seems he has his mothership just checking out what's going on here. He's looking. Do you see Blink on the way? We do see a probe got in here, but it looks like he canceled that. So he did see the Twilight coming out from Squirtle. This is pretty much Squirtle's initial reaction, is to basically go for Twilight so he can actually get Blink, try to get map control with it. He's actually going up to double Stargate because Twilight got scouted. What's the common response to Twilight? Robo. But on the other hand, Naniwa's like, you know what, you went Twilight as well, so you're probably going Blink. Let me go Dark Shrine while I have this robotics to scout, to detect. Which means Squirtle, on the other hand, is getting his robo, and he cancels one Stargate because he saw the Dark Shrine and he's making an Oracle for detection. You can see this is just amazing how this is turning out right now. The Oracle coming out right on time. He has an observer on the way as well. He's gonna be able to detect, kill off 2 DTs. The DT over here is gonna be able to kill off a couple of probes, but not the biggest deal. He cancels the Stargate because he already has, this Oracle can kind of do what the Phoenixes do, not as much, But the cool thing about the double star, the Phoenix thing, is that you can take map control and you can defend. The Oracle doesn't really give you that kind of leverage. It's pretty much just there to gain map control. But since he's investing so much into the DTs, he's not going to be able to counterattack. That makes sense, because he invested so many resources and time into it. If he goes across the map and tries to attack, he's just not going to have enough units to even bump to kill off Squirtle. So that's why he was able to just go for the Oracle. The Oracle just gets it map vision or map control. He's able to scout like this. He can be able to pick up a couple of probes, pull them off minerals, mess up the economy. He's also able to see this third. So we should be seeing Squirtle get a decently fast third as well. Squirtle going up to a robotics bay, heading on his third and fourth gateway. And a forge on the way as well. +1 is on the way. Blink's on the way as well from Naniwa. Not a big fan of the blink, but at the same time he did see that he did have an Oracle. But he did see that he canceled one of the stargates. So Squirtle's only on one stargate at the moment. There's that third that I was talking about being built. And Squirtle, right when this Nexus finishes, is actually going to come in here with this Oracle Scouts. No probe though, so the transfer was barely off for Squirtle. He could have got 4 more probes, would have been awesome for him. Nevertheless, he is getting that better composition. He's getting his Colossus count up, he's getting that second Robo, his third is on the way. Meanwhile, back over here for Naniwa, we're just going to time, because it's pretty much passive at this point. All I wanted to do was cover up his opening, which is basically the same. A Zealot, Stalker into 2 Sentries, 33 supply Nexus. Pretty much the brief overview of it. Oh, is he going to be able to pick that off? Nope. So Naniwa wants to put on some kind of pressure, but Colossus is one of the best units to have when it comes to defense. Oh, and Blink snipes out that mothership. Nice by Naniwa, but he's not going to be able to do anything. There's 2 Colossus, a lot of Zealots, 2 Immortals. No way this army is going to be able to do anything against that. So, more Colossus on the way for Squirtle. What is Naniwa's response? He's getting Immortals instead. He's not going for Colossus this time. And you know what? I kind of like his decision. If you look at this map, it's pretty wide open. So you can create a lot of flanks, and that's one of the weaknesses to Colossus play is if it gets flanked, it gets really bad for them. So Naniwa is going to be all about positioning. Squirtle has to be very careful with his army. It's a lot harder for him to replenish his army compared to Naniwa's. Naniwa's going to be heavy on gateway units with Immortals. Squirtle on the other hand is going to be heavy on Colossus, and just and then a pinch of some gateway units as well. Do you see a fleet beacon on the way from Naniwa? He's getting some void rays as well, so it looks like he's going to be going into some Tempest as a way to counter the Colossus. So if you're wondering, how does he respond to this? Well, one, you actually want to scout constantly in PvP. This is one of the downsides in this game of Squirtle. He's actually going to be able to snipe out that Temple Archives. Really smart decision from Naniwa to actually target that down. Storm, one of the most essential spells to have in late game PvP and late game in general in all matchups. Just for 2 supply, you're able to do 20 damage per second in a span of 4 seconds from 1 storm. That's amazing. It's so much damage from a 2 supply unit. It's kind of like a Widow Mine, basically. But I'm not sure if it's that good. Just thinking about the damage. No one checking out the 4th. There's no 4th going up. Can be denied, but he does see Tempest on the way. What is Squirtle's reaction? Not gonna engage. Look at this army. There's barely anything that can actually deal with the DT over here. Is gonna be able to. Might deny this 4th. Nope. So what does he do? He goes for Storm. Yep. I said you want to have Storm in this But I do feel like Squirtle does need to get some kind of Tempest out to deal with the Tempest of Naniwa's. Because if Naniwa is able to kill off the Colossus, this whole entire ground army is not looking too hot. He does have Storm as a backup or an alternative to if his Colossus does die. At least he has Storm to help deal with the AoE that you want in PvP late game. Yeah, we do see Blink on the way, so it looks like he wants to still commit to ground. Nothing really happening right now, so we're just gonna times it up a little bit. Do you see a Zealot run by over here? It's gonna be able to force a cancel at this expansion, I believe. Oh. Okay. 6 Zealots alive. We do see some more Zealots coming over here at this third. Be able to pressure that, and he has his units out in the front. This is so cool by Squirtle. He has map control. You need to, in PvP or in any kind of matchup, you want to be able to know if you have map control or not. And this takes quite a bit of time to understand if you do or do not. And one of the ways you could just tell is this guy playing defensive? If he's playing defensive, then you have map control. So be out on the map, you know, pressure him, put him off guard, you know, try to catch him off guard. You can see these Zealot run bys over here. Gonna be going towards the third. Pokes out, moves away. He has his Mothership Core to recall if he needs to. And then look at this. Zealots coming over here towards his fort, targeting down the Nexus here. He might actually take this out. No, he's not gonna be able to take this out. The cannons on this side of Naniwa is a little bit weird. I would prefer these cannons were on this side, because this side is easy to defend because your units are going to be generally around here. Whereas if you don't have cannons on here, you can just have his Zealots come from the left side then, and then the right side. So if you have your cannons on the left side, you protect the left side, your army protects the right. He can't really do what he's doing. Nice Storms coming out from Squirtle. Looks like these High Templars are way out of position. This happens quite a bit to a lot of Protoss. They forget about their High Templars. Unfortunate. Do you see Tempest on the way from Squirtle? He's also getting another base behind this ramp. Small narrow choke point, not a good way to get up there for Naniwa. I hope he doesn't go up there. Would be really, really bad by him. So this is the late game, guys. Tempest versus Tempest. Generally, the guy that has or wins in this Tempest war would generally win, because then their ground army should win. So this is how it goes. Squirtle's composition is Colossus Tempest. His objective is to keep his Colossus alive. To do that, his Tempest had to target fire Naniwa's Tempest to knock him out. If his Colossus stays alive, Naniwa pretty much dies. For Naniwa, his Tempest has to kill his Colossus. If you kill off the Colossus, then you'll be okay. You can reinforce with Blink Stalkers and deal with the Tempest. Your ground army should be able to kill off this ground army of Squirtles. And he saves it. Wow. This expansion is dead though, so, but he does have this expansion. You can just transfer the workers here. Alright, so Squirtle does have the Tempest lead. But with these four, he should, Naniwa should be perfectly fine, not to mention the rally point for Squirtle is coming from his base all the way to the other side, whereas Naniwa, he's playing defensive, so the reinforcement of Tempest will be a lot easier, quicker for him. Like I said, these ramps up here is not the best way to go up and engage whatsoever. Here we go, use your Tempest. Since they have 15 range, you actually need additional vision. You can use an observer, you can use an oracle to cast revelation on top of the army so you can have vision of their army. But you need some kind of way to have some kind of vision over their side so you can actually deal with damage. Kind of like siege tanks in TvT. They use the Viking flower or they use scans to gain that vision advantage and try to use it that way to, you know, pick off siege tanks here or there. Same thing with Tempest versus Tempest. Now, one thing to note as well, in super late game PvP, you don't want to max out on Tempest. I don't think, because then if you do that, you have nothing under it. So just a huge ground army would just kill you, or just like you just base trade against it and you're too slow to kill off anything. So I would assume you just lose that way. Not sure though. Just theoretically just speaking. Saw these mortals, he's trying to trade them. And same thing as Squirtle, you want to get rid of the supply so you can get more Tempest, more Archons or something like that. He has an okay amount of Colossus, 5 Colossus is a pretty good number to have. Here comes that engagement. You'll be watching this PvP late game style. The good thing about Naniwa is he's actually taking out the Tempest one by one, but he's actually overshotting the Tempest. What I mean by that is it doesn't take 9 Tempest to one shot another Tempest or a Colossus like that. You don't really want to target fire all of your Tempest, but you want to use, like, let's say for instance this Tempest does 95 damage to another Tempest or Colossus, right? They have 450 health, so with 95 damage, just use 5 Tempest. 5 Tempest one shots the Colossus, or 4 Tempest one shots Colossus, 5 Tempest one shots Tempest. You can see Naniwa did win that Tempest battle, but he did not kill the Colossus. Remember when I was talking about the Tempest versus Tempest Wars, how the battle has to pan out for you to win, for each player to win? It didn't really pan out for Naniwa because he didn't he didn't kill off the Colossus, so the Colossus pretty much kill off the entire ground. So that leaves the Tempest wide open for, you know, Stalkers and Archons to get under it and deal its damage. You don't really want that to happen to yours at all. Alright, so we're going to go over 2 more games. It's going to be Squirtle versus Todd on the Whirlwind. So we're going to be able to see his next one. This one, he's going to have a little slight variation to his build, to say the least. He is going to be opening up the same way, but we're going to see him react differently to what he has scouted. Back then, we saw, okay, the first game, he went Stalker, Chrono boosted the Warp Gate, and then expanded. Second game, he saw the Sentry come out, and then an expansion come out from Naniwa. Todd, on the other hand, is going to play a little bit greedier than Naniwa. He's like, you know what? Let me show you how to expand in PvP. Why make a Sentry when you can make no units and expand? And that's pretty much what Todd does. He gets a super quick Nexus, and then he makes a Sentry after it. You can see the Chrono really low. You can see the gas count. Okay, so you went gas after the Cyber. He sees the gateway being used. Pretty common. Usually people will, you know, queue up a Zealot just to psych your opponent out. We do see that expansion going down super quickly, coming out from Todd. 21 Nexus here, and then he's getting his Sentry. He sees no Zealot pressuring his probe, so he knows that it's not he canceled the Zealot. Common thing behind this is going to be a Sentry. So what does Squirtle do? He instantly throws out a pylon. He's still doing the same thing, getting that stalker and mothership out. And he's gonna do a proxy Stargate in response. And this is actually a pretty good response, especially on this map. It's Whirlwind, it's a 4-player map. You don't know exactly where your opponent spawn. But seeing this mothership come from the top side, I mean, you could kind of assume he's from the top left. 2 stalkers on the way. You see him stop making probes once he has 15 on the minerals, 3 in each gas. His 16th probe that would usually be on the minerals is actually over here, building the Stargate, and he's going to be building on a proxy pylon later on. Squirtle adds on his 3rd gateway at 30 supply. Trying to take out this sentry here. And he does, with the help of his stalker. Not microing, well, Squirtle, no! And he's gonna lose this mothership core, boom. Loses it, unfortunately, but Oracle on the way, and his 2nd and 3rd stalker is on the way as well. Warp gate finished up for him. He's going to be able to warp these into warp gates, and his 3rd one is just finishing up here as well. And this is one of the hardest things to hold when you do a 1-gate expand. It's a proxy Stargate. Killed off a couple of good probes there. 5 kills. This Immortal acting brave against 6 stalkers. Not gonna be able to kill off this Nexus, but he did damage it quite a bit. This is so smart by Squirtle here. He actually dives in with the probe first. He saw he had nothing, shields and health, that it takes 2 shots to kill off the probe. So after that 2nd shot from the photon overcharge, his stalkers and zealots were pretty damn close to the Nexus, so he's able to pick that off. Something you could do if you want to deal with some kind of 1-gate expand that's almost dead. Just do that. Have your zealot probe that you use to build that pylon in front of your army, so it takes the first 2 shots, and then you should be able to get pretty close to it. Squirtle likes to go to 2 oracles. And oracles are pretty good against zealots, pretty good against sentries, and pretty good against immortals. They actually take out that shield pretty quickly here. As you can see them get a snipe right there. The only thing you have to worry about is now the stalkers. But if you have a ground army under it, should be fine. And he's also making a void race behind this, so he's going to be able to deal with the stalkers pretty easily. And there's pretty much nothing Todd can do. I mean, you could try to force field this ramp forever, and now he's kind of contained. So Squirtle can either expand, or he could try to push up into this. Either way, he's in a huge advantage. I mean, look at the supply lead, 55 to 44 in favor of him. And that's the downside. He sends his 2 oracles in, forces him to get out of position. He doesn't have that many stalkers to deal with the void race in the front, as well as the 2 oracles going in behind him. If he tries to separate them, then the void race can go up front, deal with the sentries and stalkers or whatnot, kill those off, and then his units should be able to get up top. So, just in the worst possible position for Todd. It's pretty much GG from here. Whoops. And his second game is going to be on Neoplanet S. This is, I think this will probably be the worst case scenario for you that you'll ever encounter with this build. What Todd is going to do is actually he's going to go for a proxy DT, and Squirtle does not scout it. I mean, technically he should have lost if Todd actually committed fully into his DT, but he actually doesn't. So he let Squirtle live. And I'll show you what I mean. Nevertheless, a same opening from Squirtle here, but the thing that Squirtle can note from here, 2 pylons, and he only sees 2 pylons still. He's looking for it, still 2 pylons. That means there's a proxy somewhere. You need a 3rd pylon inside the base. You're gonna see this probe look around, look at this. So smart by him. But unfortunately, he doesn't scout over here. He's gonna try to poke in over here, try to see something. He doesn't see anything. He does see a Zealot, Stalker, and Mothership. No more 2 sentries. He goes for his Twilight Council once again. He always likes to go Twilight Council. Because he's thinking it might be Blink. It might be possibly Blink. Well, he does see the Twilight Council. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, okay, so let me recap, show you exactly what happened here. What Todd is gonna do is, once his Mothership gets in here, he's actually gonna show that he's researching Blink, and he's gonna spin a Chrono Boost on it. That's like the smartest thing ever. Come on. Something gets in here and shows it. Don't make me look dumb. Okay, there we go. And there it is, look at that. He researches Blink. He's Chrono Boosting it, and he cancels it once that Mothership gets out. That's why he's going into Blink himself. Very tricky play. Metagame-ish. Ah, my god, I would lose to this so badly. Just because I'm so reliant on information. But here comes the DTs. He actually sees the ripple. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, by the way. You see this ripple right here? That's DTs, guys. That's DTs. So he's gonna have to force field this ramp, and what I mean, if he fully committed, is if he added on 2 more DTs, or a 3rd DT in fact. And then he busts up here, he's force fielded, right? You make an Archon from 2 of those DTs, it breaks the force field, and then you have that 3rd DT get in there. Kill off all the probes. There's no detection coming out from Squirtle. Robo's not even close to being done. And we do see a DT shrine on the way. Now, what's a common response after opening up for a DT expand? It is to go for a Robo. You want to have your own detection behind this. The Squirtle does see that the Robo is on the way. Why would you go DTs? Cancels that and goes into... Come on, show it. Show it. You know you want to show it. Stargate. He's going to go into his double Stargate play. And he should be fine from here. Now, what happens if Todd actually scouts this? Like, what do you do? What do you do if you're Todd? You see a Robotics, Twilight Council, double Stargate, and a Nexus being built by Squirtle, which is pretty late, to say the least. What do you do? What do you do? What do you do if you're Todd? You have an Archon over here. You do see it. Boom. He's gonna go for an attack. Pretty much what Naniwa did, except it's gonna be a little bit different, obviously, because the opening was a little bit different from both of the players. Todd going for that DT expand. He's gonna have some Archons in his composition. How does Squirtle hold this? Can he hold this? There's the Phoenixes. Remember what I was talking about? The Phoenixes are amazing at defense in Heart of the Swarm because of the Mothership edition. The Photon Overcharge synergizes with the lift from the Phoenixes pretty well. There's that Photon Overcharge. You gonna commit or what? And looks like he is not gonna commit. There's 4 Phoenixes. Remember what I said? Squirtle likes to get up to 8 Phoenixes and then stop from there. Just scouting around, just trying to see what his composition is looking like. Nice hallucination coming from Todd. He's gonna try to soak in some damage. Nice time warp. He's gonna be able to trap those units. He's force fielding, and these Archons are not breaking it because it's hallucinated. And look at this. He lifts them up. neutralizes all these units, which means the ground armor right here can get wiped out from the photon overcharge, and then you can deal with the ground. So you wipe off one section or half of his army, and you're fine. Look at this. Now the supply leads 72 to 70. I will say though, look at the units. 48 probes to 37 in favor of Todd. So Todd has a better economy. He's just gonna back up with it. But Squirtle held an all-in that you would think you could not hold. If you had double Stargate, Twilight Council, and Robotics, and a Nexus being built, how do you defend? You should not have that many units. Usually you're like, how do you counter someone that gets everything? Well, you just go kill them. Type of response. Well, it doesn't really work against Squirtle in this case. It doesn't really work because of the photon overcharge and the Phoenix. So he's scouting around, he's trying to see what's up. Sees the forge being chrono boost, he sees cannons well protected by Todd. Todd is not going to get any damage. And he's going to be able to pick off a probe at the cost of 2 Phoenixes. Never a good trade for Squirtle. Squirtle is going to be going into Mortals and Robotics. Mortals because he has a lot of stalkers. Right, so you want to make all those Immortals as many as possible, and then transition into the Colossus play from here. As you have your Phoenixes pretty much reigning supreme in the air. Constantly scout his tech as well. That's one thing you want to do. And this basically is one of the reasons why my theory on PvP changed quite a bit. Well, in StarCraft in general. In StarCraft in general, I try to base my play where I'm like, if I had the better economy, better macro, I should win just because I have better income. But it doesn't work in PvP this way, because if you look at this, Squirtle has not had the best luck at going into this game. He doesn't have the better economy, but he actually caught up now. I mean, if you look at the units, have 48 to 47. They're both even on pros pretty much. They're both on 2 base, so you pretty much even up the economy. I do like that 3 pylon there. It's gonna help deal with the Archons. Kind of like block them from doing anything. But once again, they're in this situation where Todd does not know what to do. He's getting an expansion behind this. Looks like he's gonna set up a contain. I guess this is like one of the best calls you could do. He's gonna set up a contain. I mean, he's heavy on gateway units. He does have that 1 immortal. The thing about gateway units like this, if you're gonna go for a contain, is that they get up to like 5 Colossus, and they have this ground army to support it. There's no way you're gonna be coming out ahead. No way. Because if you look at this, is a very small choke point. Once he moves out right here, it's still not wide enough. I mean, you need him to be literally like right here, and you need to come from this side, and this side, which you obviously can't do from this side. So if you can't do that, this contain is not going to work. You need to have some kind of way to add on robo units. If you're able to add on some robo units, it might change from there, but you're not able to do that. He does scout the 3rd. And look at this. Squirtle's like, you know what? Fine. If you want to contain me, you can contain me. And he's just going to be stuck on 2 bases. And this is what I was talking about. Squirtle prioritizes unit composition, army composition, more than he does for economy. Most of the players that are being contained are like, oh my god, I gotta get out. And then they push, and then they might lose, and sometimes they might win in that regard. But why take that risk? Says Squirtle. Squirtle's like, you know, I have a better composition. If both of our armies clash, and I should trade pretty well with this, my counterattack should be strong enough to kill him. That's his mindset right now. He has 3 Colossus. He has 2 more on the way. 5 is a good number against any kind of Archon composition. But if they go for like maxed out, but if they go for like Immortal Archon, like heavy Immortal Archon charge lot, then you want to have like the mass Colossus, like 10. But if they go for a contain like this, where they don't have that many Immortals, like he doesn't have any, then you could go up to 5 and kind of like kill him. Because all you're going to be dealing with is like Stalker Archon or Archon charge lot. 1 Immortal does not change the composition to I can't win, and I went, Archon immortal charge lot. No, you only made an immortal. That doesn't count your composition, my friend. So he pushes out. He has those 5 Colossus, like I said. You can't really deal with this composition coming out from Squirtle. So what do you do as Todd in response? These Phoenixes have been pretty active throughout the game. He knows when he's throwing down a Stargate. If he's throwing any Stargates down and he doesn't see any Stargates coming out from Todd. So Todd is in a really rough spot. He has a lot of Blink Stalkers who are not... I mean, Blink Stalkers are good, but they're not good at engagements like this. They're better at, getting flanks, catching them off guard, doing counterattacks, harassing, type of stuff. But when it comes to this, it's not the best thing in the world. Like I said, you want to kite with your Colossus. When you go in for this mass Colossus style, you want to kite. The time you stop kiting is when you have Zealots. When you have Zealots in front of your army taking the shots. Once you lose all your Zealots and you have nothing but range units, it's time for you to kite. It's time for you to kite. So you can trade as much as possible and then wait for those Zealots to come, your reinforcing Zealots to catch up, and then you can just 1A. So he is getting that supply lead. His third is super late, just finished at 22, almost 23 minutes in the game here. You can see Todd is trying to stretch out Squirtle, which is pretty much the right decision to do right now. Like I said, the Blink Stalkers are not the best at engagement. They are good at doing, counterattacks and flanks and harassing type. And that's what Todd is pretty much doing. He's trying to, keep them contained as he's setting up a 5th base, or 4th base, I mean. Unfortunately for him, Squirtle is about to push out soon. Once he's able to fortify this expansion and this expansion, he should be able to move out and win. He should try to hold this one as well, but if you could hold this natural, I think you should be fine. So he's gonna kill off this base. There's nothing really Todd can do about that. That army's just way... let's look at the army value. And that pretty much sums it up. That's double the gas, over double the gas, invested into Squirtles. Which means he's more committed to his army than Todd. So Todd, if he can somehow kill off, if both of these armies trade evenly, it's going to be bad for Squirtle and it's going to be good for Todd. The chances of that happening are very rare. You do need to get a lot of flanks going on. Like, this would be the best spot for, like right here would be the best spot for Todd to engage Squirtle, because you can engage over here while he's losing this proxy pile. Never mind. I was gonna say you can warp up top here, you can engage right here, and then you can have units come from this bottom side as well. So you can flank them from 3 different areas, and that will help you immensely. If you go for a straight up engagement, you're gonna lose. You're just gonna lose. This is just too many Colossus at this point, 10 Colossus. And this is that immortal Archon charge lot composition you see quite a bit in the pro leagues. And it was also shown at the home story. I remember the game between Naiden and State. State goes for the immortal Archon charge lot composition. Naiden went for like mass Colossus, like 12 Colossus. And this is how it pretty much went. The ground army might get killed off, but the Colossus does a lot of damage. Once you lose all of his Zealots, you start kiting with the Colossus while you're reinforcing with Zealots, and then have the Zealots move forward. Once the Zealots move forward up your Colossus, then you go for an A move attack. And then you pretty much should win in that regard. So yeah. Todd leads the game, and that is the end of this, and hopefully they recorded me. It looks like it did, and I'm hoping whenever I stop this recording, it actually does record my mic. But anyways guys, thanks for watching. If you haven't already, please follow me and subscribe to my channel on YouTube at youtube.com/FlatlineSU2 if you do like the content. You should also follow Squirtle for his amazing play on Twitter at twitter.com/LGIMSquirtle. Amazing team, amazing player, amazing skills. But anyways guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.